They called it the dawn of independence, a time when hope filled the air. But within just 6 years of freedom, the dream began to fall apart. Betrayal, ethnic tension, ambition. This is the story of how Nigerian military took the nation's destiny into his own hands, again and again, rewriting our history in blood and power. From Ezeogu's first coup to Abacha's Ayo rule, this is the era of coups and counter-coups in Nigeria. This is the Untold Nigeria. It all began on the cold morning of January 15, 1966. A group of young, idealistic army officers, led by Major Chukwuma Kaduna Ezeogu, launched Nigeria's first coup d'etat. Their mission? To rid the country of corruption, tribalism, and political chaos that had consumed the First Republic. In coordinated attacks across the nation, they assassinated key leaders: Prime Minister Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Northern Premier Ahmadu Bello, Western Premier Samuel Akintola, Finance Minister Festus Okotie-Eboh. By dawn, Nigeria was bleeding, its leadership gone. The coup failed to seize full control, but chaos opened the door for one man, Major General Johnson Agwin Imusi, who stepped in as head of state. He was trying to restore order, but his policies, especially the Unification Decree, were seen by many in the north as Igbo favoritism. Ethnic tension rose, and by mid-year, the soldiers who once fought together were now divided by tribe. In the early hours of July 29, 1966, Northern soldiers struck back. It was revenge, brutal and swift. General Yerosi and his host, Colonel Adekunle Fajuyi, were captured and executed in Ibadan. Young officers sought to restore balance by avenging their fallen leaders. Amidst the confusion, a new leader emerged, Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon, just 31 years old. Gowon promised unity and peace, but the wounds of tribal killings ran too deep. Within a year, Nigeria would descend into civil war. The Nigeria Civil War between 1967 to 1970, also known as the Biafra War, began when the Eastern region, led by Colonel Podimegwu Ojukwu, declared independence as Biafra. For 30 months, border fought against border. Over 2 million people died, mostly civilians. By January 1970, Biafra surrendered. Gowon's message to the nation was simple: no victor, no vanquished. He began rebuilding a broken nation, but the military had tasted power, and it would not let it go easily. In July 29, 1975, while General Gowon was attending an OAU meeting in Uganda, a bloodless coup took place in Lagos. The new leader, General Murtala Mohammed, charismatic, bold, and fiery, Murtala captured the nation's heart with his anti-corruption drive and plans to return Nigeria to civilian rule. But just 7 months later, tragedy struck. On February 13, 1976, Lieutenant Colonel Buka Sukadinka led a failed coup attempt. Murtala's car was ambushed in Lagos, and the beloved leader was killed instantly. The coup failed, and Lieutenant General Olusegun Obasanjo became head of state. True to Murtala's vision, he completed plans to restore democracy. In 1979, power was handed to President Shehu Shagari, the beginning of Nigeria's Second Republic. But democracy was short-lived. Corruption returned, the economy worsened. On December 31, 1983, the military struck again. Major General Muhammadu Buhari overthrew Shagari's government, accusing it of inefficiency and waste. A new era of discipline began, or so it seemed. Just 2 years later, General Ibrahim Babangida toppled Buhari in another bloodless coup. Babangida promised a transition to democracy with a human face. He ruled with cunning, blending military power with political manipulation. Under IBB, Nigeria saw both hope and heartbreak, including the rise of new political voices, and the June 12, 1993 election declared Nigeria's first vote ever. When Chief MKO Abiola won the election, Nigerians rejoiced, believing democracy had finally arrived. But IBB annulled the result, citing irregularities. The nation exploded in anger. IBB stepped aside, appointing Ernest Shonekan as head of an interim government. 3 months later, the military struck again. General Sani Abacha seized power on November 17, 1993. His rule became synonymous with fear, disappearances, and absolute control. Yet, under his government, Nigeria grew economically stable, even as the people lost their freedom. Journalists were jailed, opponents silenced, and Abiola himself imprisoned. The world turned its eyes away until June 1998, when both Abacha and Abiola died just weeks apart. In 1999, General Abdulsalam Abubakar organized new elections. On May 29, power was finally returned to civilians. The man who once ruled as a general, Olusegun Obasanjo, returned as a democratically elected president. The military era was gone. After decades of coups and counter-coups, Nigeria began its longest stretch of civilian rule in history. For over 30 years, the sounds of boots and gunfire shaped our nation's destiny. Every coup left a scar, but also a lesson. Today, we stand on those lessons, building the democracy that must never fall again. Every story like this reminds us Nigeria is more than history. It is heritage. If you believe these stories deserve to be heard, don't just watch, be part of it. Subscribe, share, and let's bring the Untold Nigeria to light, one story at a time. This is the Untold Nigeria.